The Pentagon turned ghostly pale the moment Iran activated something that should not exist for another decade: a fully operational quantum radar system capable of detecting every single American stealth aircraft as if they were painted bright orange against a clear blue sky. The F-35 Lightning II, the B-2 Spirit, the most advanced stealth technology that cost American taxpayers over $1.7 trillion, rendered completely obsolete in a single night. Iran just shattered the foundational assumption of American air superiority, and Trump is scrambling to deny what his own military commanders are confirming in classified briefings. This is not theoretical technology sitting in a laboratory somewhere. This is an active, deployed, operational quantum radar system that Iranian forces demonstrated by tracking 6 American F-35s, conducting what they believed was an undetectable reconnaissance mission over the Persian Gulf. The aircraft, operating from Al Dhafra Air Base in the United Arab Emirates, were detected, tracked, and targeted with such precision that Iranian air defense systems achieved radar lock within 47 seconds of the fighters entering Iranian sensor range. The pilots, receiving threat warnings they have never experienced before, were forced to abort their mission and retreat at maximum speed, while Iranian forces calmly broadcast their exact coordinates, altitude, speed, and weapons loadout over open channels that every military in the region could monitor. The humiliation was absolute and undeniable. But here's what makes this development truly devastating for American military planning. Quantum radar technology operates on fundamental physics principles that stealth technology cannot defeat. Traditional radar sends out radio waves that stealth aircraft absorb or deflect using special coatings and angular designs. Quantum radar uses entangled photons that create detection signatures impossible to mask, regardless of aircraft shape, coating, or electronic countermeasures. Iran has not just deployed an advanced weapon system. They have fundamentally invalidated the entire strategic doctrine that has guided American military planning for 40 years. And what the mainstream media will not tell you, what Washington desperately wants to suppress, is that this technology did not come from Russia or China as convenient scapegoats. Iranian scientists developed this system domestically under the crushing weight of 45 years of sanctions, proving once again that necessity drives innovation faster than unlimited budgets drive competence. If you want to understand how the balance of power in the Middle East just shifted permanently, if you want to see beyond the desperate spin that Pentagon spokespeople are feeding to compliant journalists, then stay with me, because what I am about to reveal will expose everything. Hit that like button right now, subscribe to this channel, and enable all notifications, because the information you are about to receive is being actively suppressed by every mainstream outlet, terrified of admitting that American technological supremacy is collapsing in real time. Let's start with understanding exactly what quantum radar technology represents and why its emergence in Iranian hands constitutes a strategic earthquake that will reshape military planning worldwide. Traditional radar systems, the technology that has guided air defense for 80 years, operate by transmitting electromagnetic waves that bounce off aircraft and return to the receiver. Stealth technology defeats this by using specialized materials that absorb radio waves, angular surfaces that deflect signals away from the receiver, and electronic systems that jam or confuse radar processors. The United States has invested hundreds of billions of dollars developing stealth aircraft specifically designed to be invisible to conventional radar. The F-22 Raptor, the F-35 Lightning II, the B-2 Spirit bomber, all built on the fundamental assumption that radar invisibility provides decisive advantage. Quantum radar operates on completely different physical principles that render traditional stealth countermeasures worthless. The system generates pairs of entangled photons, a quantum phenomenon where two particles become mysteriously linked regardless of the distance separating them. One photon from each pair gets transmitted toward potential targets, while its entangled twin remains at the receiver. When the transmitted photon encounters an aircraft, even a stealth aircraft, it reflects back, carrying information about the target. The receiver then compares the returned photon with its entangled twin, and because of quantum entanglement, any interaction with a physical object creates detectable changes that cannot be masked or spoofed. The aircraft shape does not matter. The radar absorbent coating does not matter. Electronic jamming does not matter. The fundamental physics of quantum entanglement makes stealth technology obsolete. Western military analysts have known about quantum radar theory for 15 years. Chinese researchers published early experimental results in 2016. What shocked everyone was Iran demonstrating not a laboratory prototype, but a fully operational, deployed, battlefield-ready system capable of detecting stealth aircraft at ranges exceeding 300 kilometers. This represents a technological leap that Western intelligence agencies assessed would require at least another decade of development. Iran compressed that timeline while operating under the most comprehensive sanctions regime in modern history, without access to advanced semiconductor manufacturing, without ability to import specialized components, and without collaboration with major research institutions. They did it anyway because sanctions force self-reliance, and self-reliance under pressure breeds innovation that comfortable, budget-unlimited Western programs cannot match. The operational demonstration that confirmed Iranian quantum radar capabilities occurred 3 weeks ago during what American planners believe was a routine surveillance mission. 6 F-35A Lightning II fighters from the 388th Fighter Wing, temporarily deployed to Al Dhafra Air Base, received orders to conduct reconnaissance along the Iranian coast, collecting electronic intelligence on radar installations and communications networks. The mission profile, carefully planned to exploit the F-35's stealth characteristics, kept the aircraft at altitudes and flight paths specifically calculated to minimize radar detection probability. The pilots, among the most experienced F-35 operators in the United States Air Force, had conducted dozens of similar missions without ever being detected by Iranian conventional radar systems. 47 seconds after the lead aircraft crossed into Iranian sensor range, every pilot simultaneously received threat warnings indicating multiple radar locks from ground-based air defense systems. This alone was shocking because F-35s operating in stealth configuration normally remain undetected, even when flying directly over advanced Russian S-400 radar installations. But what happened next transformed shock into absolute panic. Iranian air defense forces broadcast the exact position, altitude, speed, heading, and weapons configuration of all 6 aircraft over unencrypted military channels that American intelligence aircraft monitoring the region could hear clearly. The broadcast included technical details like individual aircraft tail numbers, fuel states, and even the names of the mission commander, information that should be completely inaccessible to enemy forces detecting only radar returns. The mission commander immediately ordered abort, and the formation turned away at maximum military power, climbing to higher altitude while deploying every electronic countermeasure in their arsenal. Iranian forces continued tracking them flawlessly, broadcasting updated coordinates every 30 seconds as the aircraft fled back toward UAE airspace. The entire intercept was recorded, and within hours, clips appeared on Iranian military channels showing radar displays tracking the American stealth fighters as clearly as if they were ancient cargo planes. The Pentagon went into immediate crisis mode, not because of the tactical failure of one reconnaissance mission, but because the strategic foundation of American air power just crumbled. Consider what this means for every aspect of American military planning in the region. The United States maintains air superiority through the assumption that its stealth aircraft can penetrate enemy airspace undetected, strike critical targets, and withdraw before defenders can react. This capability underwrites American threats against Iranian nuclear facilities, justifies forward deployment of carrier battle groups, and provides the invisible shield protecting American bases throughout the Middle East. If Iranian forces can detect, track, and target American stealth aircraft with the same ease they track conventional fighters, then every single operational plan built on stealth penetration becomes worthless. The F-35 program, already the most expensive weapons procurement in human history at over $1.7 trillion, is now flying expensive targets rather than invisible hunters. But the humiliation extends far beyond the immediate tactical failure. Within 72 hours of the aborted reconnaissance mission, the Pentagon convened emergency classified briefings with senior leadership, attempting to assess the scope of Iranian quantum radar capabilities. These briefings, details of which have leaked to multiple sources, revealed the depth of American intelligence failure. The CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and National Security Agency had no indication that Iranian quantum radar development had progressed beyond basic laboratory research. Satellite imagery showed no evidence of the specialized facilities required for quantum photon generation. Signal intelligence detected no communications suggesting operational deployment. The assessment, delivered with high confidence just 6 weeks earlier, stated that Iran remained at least 10 years away from fielding quantum radar technology. How did American intelligence miss a technological development of this magnitude? The answer reveals everything about the systematic underestimation of Iranian scientific capabilities that pervades Western analysis. Intelligence agencies assumed that quantum radar development required access to advanced manufacturing capabilities, specialized materials, and large-scale research facilities that sanctions prevented Iran from obtaining. They assumed that Iranian scientists educated primarily in domestic universities and cut off from international collaboration could not match the expertise of Western researchers working with unlimited budgets at institutions like MIT, Stanford, and Cambridge. They assumed fundamentally that a sanctioned Middle Eastern nation could not achieve technological breakthroughs that American and European programs had not yet accomplished. Every single assumption was wrong because Western analysts failed to understand that constraint drives innovation more effectively than abundance. Iranian quantum radar development occurred in small distributed facilities that satellite imagery could not identify as unusual. The specialized components required for photon entanglement came from repurposed telecommunications equipment and modified industrial lasers rather than purpose-built quantum research tools. Iranian scientists, unable to access cutting-edge Western research, developed novel approaches unconstrained by the groupthink that dominates well-funded, prestige-driven Western programs. And the program remained completely invisible to signals intelligence because researchers understood American collection capabilities and implemented communication security protocols from the project's inception. The technological achievement becomes even more impressive when examining the specific capabilities Iranian forces demonstrated. The quantum radar system did not just detect the F-35 formation. It provided targeting quality track data sufficient for weapons engagement. Traditional radar detection is relatively easy compared to generating the precise tracking data required to guide missiles to intercept. Quantum radar apparently provides both simultaneously, meaning that Iranian air defense systems equipped with this technology can not only see American stealth aircraft but can engage them with the same effectiveness they target conventional fighters. This transforms Iranian airspace from contested environment requiring American stealth penetration into a no-fly zone, where even the most advanced American aircraft face unacceptable losses. The implications cascade through every aspect of American military posture in the Middle East. Aircraft carrier battle groups operating in the Persian Gulf, previously considered secure because their F-35C fighters could conduct operations that Iranian air defenses could not counter, now operate within range of Iranian anti-ship missiles with no stealth shield protecting them. The Air Force bombers that would spearhead any attack on Iranian nuclear facilities, relying entirely on stealth characteristics to penetrate integrated air defenses, can now be detected, tracked, and engaged the moment they enter Iranian sensor coverage. The sprawling American military bases throughout the region, from Qatar to Kuwait to the UAE, lose the invisible air umbrella that stealth aircraft provided, making them vulnerable to precision missile strikes they cannot effectively defend against. And Trump's response to this strategic catastrophe? Absolute denial. Public statements from the White House dismiss Iranian claims as propaganda and bluster. Press briefings feature confident assertions that American stealth technology remains fully effective and that Iranian broadcasts represent obvious fabrications. Behind closed doors, however, panic and recrimination dominate as military commanders demand answers about how intelligence agencies missed this development and what options remain for salvaging American deterrence posture. Trump, characteristically unable to process information that contradicts his simplistic worldview, continues insisting that overwhelming American military superiority makes Iranian technological capabilities irrelevant regardless of what his own intelligence agencies report. But denial cannot alter the physics of quantum entanglement or reverse engineer the months of Iranian testing that perfected their system before operational deployment. The United States now faces the opponent that has neutralized America's most expensive technological advantage using domestically developed systems created under comprehensive sanctions. The comfortable assumption that American money and access to global technology markets guarantees permanent superiority just shattered against the reality that Iranian scientists, motivated by necessity and national survival, achieved what American contractors with unlimited budgets have not. Stay with me because what comes next exposes the true depth of this disaster for American strategic planning and Trump's increasingly desperate attempts to maintain the fiction of unquestionable military dominance. The Pentagon's immediate response to confirmed Iranian quantum radar capabilities reveals the scope of strategic disruption this technology creates. Within 1 week of the aborted F-35 reconnaissance mission, the Air Force grounded all stealth aircraft operations within Iranian sensor range pending comprehensive review of operational security protocols. This unprecedented stand-down affects not only F-35 squadrons, but also the handful of F-22 Raptors deployed to the region, and critically, the B-2 Spirit bombers that constitute America's primary deep strike capability against hardened Iranian nuclear facilities. Without stealth penetration capability, the United States has no viable military option for destroying Iran's underground enrichment sites at Natanz and Fordo. The bombs exist. The delivery aircraft exist, but they cannot reach their targets without being detected and engaged by Iranian air defenses that can now see them perfectly. This operational paralysis comes at the worst possible moment for Trump's maximum pressure campaign. For 18 months, the administration has threatened military action if Iran continues nuclear enrichment activities. These threats relied entirely on the implicit assumption that American stealth bombers could strike Iranian facilities regardless of air defense preparations. Iranian leaders, calculating that American threats were credible because the military capability existed, had moderated their enrichment activities to levels preventing immediate crisis. Now, with quantum radar eliminating American strike capability, that calculation changes completely. Why should Iran limit its nuclear program when the military threat supposedly enforcing limits has been exposed as hollow? The strategic reversal becomes even more devastating when considering regional military balance. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel have all structured their security policies around the assumption of American military dominance guaranteeing their protection. The Saudis invested heavily in American air defense systems specifically because American stealth aircraft could suppress any threat those systems could not handle. The UAE hosts American military bases and F-35 squadrons precisely because that presence supposedly deters Iranian aggression. Israel's entire strategic doctrine relies on American military backing, providing ultimate security guarantee against existential threats. All these calculations assume permanent American technological superiority that Iran just proved does not exist. What happens when American partners realize that the security umbrella they have been paying for has massive holes that Iranian technology can exploit? The Saudis are already hedging, establishing diplomatic channels with Tehran, and reducing military cooperation with Washington. The UAE quietly restricts American use of Al Dhafra Air Base while exploring independent security arrangements. Even Israel, the closest American ally, begins questioning whether American security commitments remain credible when the technology underpinning those commitments has been rendered obsolete. The entire regional order built on American military primacy starts fragmenting the moment that primacy becomes questionable, and the economic implications extend far beyond immediate military concerns. The F-35 program represents the cornerstone of American defense exports, with international sales to partners across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. These sales totaled over $80 billion in committed orders, with projected lifetime value exceeding $200 billion. What happens to that export market when potential buyers realize they are purchasing aircraft that the most significant regional military power can detect and track effortlessly? Why would Japan, South Korea, Poland, or Australia spend hundreds of millions per aircraft for stealth capability that Iranian quantum radar makes worthless? The entire export market collapses, taking with it thousands of American manufacturing jobs, critical defense industry revenue, and the diplomatic influence that comes from partners operating American equipment. The technological race that this development initiates favors Iran rather than the United States in ways that defy conventional assumptions. America's stealth aircraft fleet represents sunk cost. The aircraft exists. The factories that built them have closed. The institutional knowledge for designing stealth characteristics has dispersed. Developing entirely new aircraft designed for post-quantum radar warfare would require 15 to 20 years and another $1 trillion minimum. Iran, by contrast, can now focus exclusively on refining and expanding quantum radar capabilities at a fraction of American development cost. They can deploy these systems across their entire air defense network, export them to allies like Syria and Hezbollah, and even sell commercial variants to anyone willing to pay for the ability to detect American stealth aircraft. The technological advantage shifts from the nation that spent the most money to the nation that solved the hardest physics problem first. But perhaps the most profound implication concerns the myth of American exceptionalism that has guided foreign policy for generations. The United States has operated under the assumption that its combination of wealth, technological prowess, and institutional advantages guarantees permanent superiority over any potential adversary. This assumption justified the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, underwrote the expansion of military bases worldwide, and validated the belief that American military power could reshape the Middle East according to Washington's preferences. Iranian quantum radar development demolishes this mythology by demonstrating that a sanctioned, isolated, supposedly backward nation can achieve technological breakthroughs that the full weight of American military-industrial complex has not matched. The lesson Iranian scientists just taught is that constraint breeds innovation while abundance breeds complacency. American defense contractors comfortable with cost-plus contracts guaranteeing profits regardless of results have no incentive to achieve breakthroughs that might disrupt profitable existing programs. Iranian researchers facing national survival imperatives and unable to purchase solutions from abroad must innovate or accept strategic vulnerability. The hunger, the urgency, the absolute necessity creates the conditions where genuine breakthroughs happen. Meanwhile, American programs drown in bureaucracy, political interference, and contractor greed that prioritizes shareholder returns over national security. And Trump's response? Continued denial, angry tweets dismissing Iranian capabilities, and private fury that his military commanders cannot guarantee the decisive strikes that his rhetoric demands. He cannot process that American military supremacy might be contestable. He cannot accept that sanctions failed to prevent Iranian technological development. He cannot admit that maximum pressure strategy has driven Iran toward exactly the self-reliance that makes them more dangerous rather than more compliant. So he denies, he blusters, and he demands that reality conform to his simplistic worldview where American power always prevails because America is America. But reality does not care about Trump's ego or American exceptionalism mythology. The physics of quantum entanglement work the same whether the scientists applying them work in California or Isfahan. Innovation happens where necessity demands it, regardless of which nation holds more aircraft carriers, and the balance of power shifts toward those willing to acknowledge uncomfortable truths rather than those insisting that superiority is permanent and unchallengeable. What we are witnessing is not merely a tactical setback or temporary technological disadvantage. This is the moment when American assumptions about permanent military dominance collided with the reality that other nations can innovate, can achieve breakthroughs, and can neutralize expensive American advantages using domestically developed capabilities created under the harshest constraints. The implications will echo for decades as military planners worldwide absorb the lesson that stealth technology, the foundation of American air power for 40 years, can be defeated by adversaries willing to invest in the hard physics rather than accepting conventional wisdom about what is possible. If this analysis has opened your eyes to realities that mainstream coverage desperately wants to suppress, hit that like button and subscribe to stay informed about developments that establishment media will not honestly report. Share this video with everyone who needs to understand how profoundly the strategic landscape just shifted and why American military planning must fundamentally change or continue suffering humiliations like the one Iranian forces just delivered. The era of unquestioned American technological superiority is over. The multipolar world where American dominance is contestable has arrived, and those still clinging to outdated assumptions about permanent American primacy will continue making catastrophic miscalculations until reality forces the necessary recalibration. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and recognize that the truth exists beyond the sanitized narratives that serve establishment interests rather than genuine understanding.